Welcome everybody to the Digital Forensics Now podcast. Today's Thursday, March 14th, 2024. My name is Alexis Brignoni, aka Briggs, and I'm accompanied by my co-host, the one that puts the power in power user, the Digital Forensics Tool entomologist, the one-person quality assurance program, yes, the one and only Heather Charpentier. The music is hired up by Shane Ivers and can be found at silvermansound.com. Hello, everybody.
Hello. Thank you for the great introduction, as always.
You like that, the entomologist thing?
I like it. It was really good, yeah.
Yeah, there's always some little inner jokes in some of those inside jokes, I should say. All right, so again, I see a few folks already coming in the chat. Jessica is in the chat.
Hi.
DFIR Divas in the chat. Obviously, Kevin, the main man, the man with the plan, is in the chat. So happy to see you all there. And Brett is in. So glad to see you, my man. All right, Heather. So I know you got stuff to tell me because you had a full last couple of weeks. So what's been going on with you lately?
I have the same response I always give, busy, but I actually yesterday attended Hexordia's data structure class, and I wanted to tell everybody you have to attend this class. It was awesome. Jessica taught. She goes into data structures found in mobile devices in depth, how to handle them, how to look at them with the commercial tooling, but also without commercial tooling with open source tools. And it was a really great day yesterday in her class. And actually, Kevin was in the class with me, so it was really
there
good.
You go.
Yeah.
Well, three luminaries between you, Kevin, and Jessica. Folks, in case you're not familiar with data structures, that's the basis of where the data from your cases, that where it comes from, right? How are they organized? How are they stored? How do I get them out? How do I properly interpret them? And I've taken the class as well. Obviously, highly recommended. And I'm really happy to see, a provider like Exordia going way beyond like the formulaic tooling. Like, oh, we teach to the tool. No, they're teaching to the deeper, how the data is being stored. And it's really, really important that we start looking into those and understanding it. So
help you move away from the push button forensics. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And even if you have to push a few buttons,
yeah.
But at least you know what you're doing.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So like Kevin said, never stop learning, right?
Yeah.
And in this field, you definitely cannot stop learning. So yeah, no. Well, what else? Took that class. Anything else going on?
Yeah, no, I mean, same old stuff. Go to work, come home, go to work, prepare for the podcast, start working on IASIS material that we're going to do together.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna discuss that in a second. At least from my end. From my end, yeah. So I'm in Florida, and the oak pollen season is upon us. Everything is covered with yellow muck from the trees, and it sucks. I'm highly allergic. So I've been taking all sorts of antihistamines. So sorry if I look like death.
You don't look like death.
Yeah, right. All right. Yeah, sure. I believe you. Yeah, but other than that, just doing regular work and just trying to get the class going.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a good segue to that same topic, right?
It is.
So IASIS, the International Association of Computer Investigative Specialists, it's a really renowned. It's a organization that's volunteer driven, and myself and Heather were volunteers there, and we'll be teaching the Advanced Mobile Device Forensics course. This is a brand new course, and we're going to talk about Android and iOS. So it's going to be a great class. The class is gonna happen from April 22nd to the 26th. That's the first session of that class, and then we teach it again, right, for a different group of students from April 29th to May 3rd, right? So do we still have spots there, Heather, in that class?
Yeah, there's still spots in both weeks. So sign up, come and learn from us in Orlando. So there's a selling point right there too. In Orlando in April and May.
Yeah. Well, who else is us, and who else is teaching with us?
So we have another instructor this year, John Hyla. He's going to join us, and some of you may know him from his research on the SegB biome app intents data in iOS. I think he was the first person to write a blog on it, and it's on his page, Blue Crew Forensics, if anybody's still interested in reading that and checking out his tools. So he has an app intents parser on that website, but he's going to be teaching with us in April and May.
Yeah, and I think it's a great catch that we had. Well, Heather did in getting him to instruct with us. A really sharp guy, and really forward leaning with all the new stuff that's coming out. So yeah. I'm really happy that he's with us. And if you come to class, the class you'll get a laptop, so to work through the exercises with us through the course, which you can then take with yourself. Take home with you. And do your work on that laptop. So that's always good to have. There'll be reference materials and some other things that we're gonna give in that class. And the location is in, like I say, near Orlando, Florida. It's a great, nice place. It's a little pool and everything. So in the afternoons you can chill out a little bit and talk forensics with us there in the different events and activities that IASIS has at night for examiners. So it's good stuff.
Yes, it is. Sign up.
Yeah, the link is at the bottom of the screen, and for those that are listening, we're gonna put in the notes so you can check it out and come hang out with us in person at IASIS this summer.
All right, so I wanted to talk about a new book that's going to be coming out, and it is written by Brett Shavers, who is in our chat or is watching live today. So hi, Brett. It is titled DFIR Investigative Mindset. It's not released yet. He's still working on it, but I've had a chance to check it out. And I literally feel like as I was reading it, that this book was hitting every thought that was in my head. He talks about how to learn to be a better investigator. One of the first sentences in the book is the DFIR mindset is the missing piece in DFIR. And I couldn't agree more. To be able to do this type of work, you have to have that mindset, the investigative mindset. He hits on how to strengthen your skills, how to be a better examiner, the differences between mindset of law enforcement and civilian. Do you need both? What the difference is. If you take a position in a DFIR job, do you want to do it? Or are you just taking that position, to move up? And you have to want to do it. And this book really talks about that and discusses ways to improve your investigative mindset. I highly, highly recommend the book when it comes out. And from March 22nd, the book is going to be on sale for a week. So everybody should check it out and purchase it when you have a nice sale that first week of release. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was gonna say absolutely. And this is the thing, right? I need to say this in every show we say it. We're not sponsored by anybody. Brett didn't give us, a kickback to talk about his book, right? We're not haters. We're also not shills, right? We just tell you our honest opinion of things that we like or we don't like. And now that being said, right? We read a lot about technical stuff, about how to work a tool, how to work a data structure, how to create a report. But this book is filling this, I'm going to use that word, this void in regards to what are the building blocks mentally that you need to have in order to do a complete examination, right? Because anybody can press buttons, but a few can actually connect the dots.
Right.
That in the way that need to be connected, right? And his book fills that void, right? If you're in the private sector, you can learn a lot from his experience from being in law enforcement, vice versa. You're in law enforcement like we are, you can learn a lot from his experiences when he leaves law enforcement and goes to the private sector, right? So how do you take those? I don't want to tell you with the book, you have to read it, but just a quick note in regards to what's your mindset in regards to your probity, your attitude? How do you approach the evidence? How do you let the evidence speak for itself, right? There's a whole bunch of little details there that you'll be, it will be really, really well imbued with that knowledge if you read that book. Okay, it's not.
Yeah.
It's an easy read, but it's a profound read. I found myself, and I haven't finished it yet, but I found myself rereading certain sections a couple of times because that section had a lot to think about. Does that make sense, Heather?
Yeah, no, same thing. I reread a couple sections on my lunch break today. So definitely. Jessica says the part about curiosity. I couldn't agree more with you on that, Jessica. So curious people, I believe, make good investigators a lot of times. If you're really nosy, that's such a good trait to have for the investigative mindset, in my opinion. I love that comment.
Yeah, and Brett is saying that I could have transcribed this podcast and wrote the same book. Well, we appreciate that, and you know, we I guess, you know, we examiners that had some time, we kind of converge, right, in certain views or certain opinions, certain ways of dealing with the data, because this is a science, right? And that art is to be able to present that science effectively. And Brett's book is a good way of getting a leg up. I would recommend, especially for people that are new into the field. Let's say you're coming in as a new examiner, say in law enforcement or into a lab. Get that book and make it part of your growing process, that growing mindset. Immediately get that book and check it out.
Definitely. Hardest part to teach. You're right, too. It's hard to teach somebody to be an investigator. It really is. I always say for my office, it's half sworn and half non-sworn members. And the sworn members come off the road with that investigative mindset already. And it's really, really hard to teach the non-sworn members the investigative part. But the book really lays out how you can do that and how they can do that for themselves.
Yeah, and a broader point for the industry, right? I would hope that more books start addressing that, right? And I say addressing that, there's other aspects, right? Even some of the legal aspects of the job, and do it in a way that's accessible, like because Brett's way of writing is really accessible, which is what I like. It's not encumbered by these words. It's actually pretty clear, and we see more books in different topics that make that accessible to examiners.
Brett says, because DFIR is fun, it is almost like playing a video game. We tend to forget we are working to solve a mystery. I definitely agree. It is fun most of the time until you get one of those cases that just isn't so fun. But, you know, some are boring. But definitely agree with that. Yeah,
I mean, there's always the routinary cases, but either way, that mindset applies to make sure that you're doing the best job that can be done. Not that you can do, the best job that can be done. Yeah. And that's what we're striving for. So good stuff. Yeah, so definitely check it out. March 22nd, I believe it's going to come out. Yep. So there was an announcement on LinkedIn. I saw it, and it was regarding facial recognition in DFIR. So API Forensics announced the release of Exponent Faces, which is an add-on extension for Xways Forensics. So if you're an Xways user, this can be used in conjunction with Xways. It detects, matches, extracts faces from photographs and video files, and accurately identifies victims, missing persons, persons of interest within volumes of collected media. They say the effective outcomes of the use of facial recognition technology are determined by a number of factors. And those factors include the image itself, the resolution of the image, the angle, the position, whether there's obstructions to the person's face, the vertical and horizontal rotation of the person's head. And then for videos, the speed of the footage measured in frames per second. I have not tried this out yet. I just saw the post for it this week, and I didn't have time to grab the Xways dongle and try it out, but I will be trying it out in the future. So hopefully other people will try it out. I want to bring it back to the podcast after I try it and give a little bit of a review, and hopefully people can weigh in and try it out as well. If you currently have an Xways license, you can submit a request for a 30-day trial. You just have to provide your Xways license number when you go and request that 30-day trial. So
hopefully other people will test it with me and we can all collaborate here on the podcast and discuss it in the future.
No, absolutely, and I can see a lot of use. So I got a couple of thoughts on that. Imagine you're working let me put it this way. Let's say a mass shooting scenario where you got surveillance, right, from multiple cameras, and let's say you got an possibly identified suspect. Can I determine if that suspect was in the crowd, right? That's pretty tough, right? Maybe another example that I just came to mind. It's a real example. I had to, a long time ago, I had to find somebody that was taking a Greyhound bus out of the city. We need to locate that person. And the time frame of when that person might have left was pretty wide. So I had to sit down and look at hours and hours and hours and hours of footage, trying to see if I could find that person. Right? Imagine if you have a tooling where you can say, okay, well, I have these templates or data pictures of the person I'm looking for, have the tooling go and quickly scrub that data set for that face and tell me, yo, I have a hit on Tuesday at 2:00, right? That would save a lot of time, right? So yeah. I can see a lot of good uses for that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Heather, but the way I read the announcement, it seems that this tool is open also to the general public. Let me not say that, to the private sector as well.
Yeah.
You got that vibe too?
Yeah, I didn't see anything on the website that said otherwise. It looked like you can just go in and put your agency name and sign up for that 30-day license, as long as you have an X-Ways license to provide.
All right. So now it's like the second part which came to mind is, so let me restart, right? A knife, right? With a knife, right, you can butter your bread or you can stab somebody, right? A little bit of extreme examples, right? Any and every technology can be dual use, right? It depends on the user, right? So I use that as an introduction to kind of say every technology has its challenges and its limitations, right? And I've been thinking a little bit about what happens if we give that technology outside of the confines of law enforcement. Don't get me wrong. People in law enforcement can have and will in the future use this technology wrongly. We're not exempt from that, right? So I'm not saying that, oh yeah, law enforcement really knows how to deal with it at 100% of the time. I'm being honest here, right? Obviously, we strive not to make mistakes. And what mistake could that be? Well, some of this technology, remember, is matching, like a pattern matching. It takes whatever analysis does of that face and tries to match it upon other data sets. That's probabilistic in nature. And me and Heather were talking about a little bit about probabilistic things earlier the other day. It's probabilistic, right? Whatever, 70%, 40%, 30%, 50%, right? At what point are we happy with that percentage? And after we get it, what do we do with it? Oh, the computer said it's this person. That person is go grab the person. We could grab the wrong person, right? Like just because the tool told me this is a highly probable match, does that mean that's a match? I mean, what do we need to do? Well, it's a word that starts with I. Investigation.
Yes.
and I'll be honest with everybody here. Sometimes in our agencies or organizations, we start and finish everything with what the tool says. And we talk about push button forensics. This is really prone for that, right? And we gotta be careful with that. The investigation doesn't stop because the computer said, "Here's the X." Actually, that's when it starts. The investigation. We have to validate that. Is this person actually with a match, right? And yeah, tell us what British is saying in the chat, Heather.
Tools give clues, not answers.
There you go. And it's really easy to get confused because a lot of times the clue that the tool gives us happens to also be the answer a lot of times. So that happens too. But you need to make sure that actually is the actual answer, right? That is correct. I gotta highlight this comment. Derek is telling us every tool is a weapon if you hold it right. And that's said by Andy DeFranco. So what a great quote, right? Historically, and this is some research that I did for the show today. Historically, face recognition tools tend to have some issues recognizing folks that are minority. of color on all of that, a lot of false positives. Now, that being said, I'm not talking about the tool specifically that Heather is presenting. So don't get confused. Yeah, I don't want everybody to think that I'm talking about them. No, I'm talking about in general. This technology could definitely get to a higher probability level. Absolutely. But it should not be made to make the base for your arrest. That should not be the base for it, I believe. Oh yeah, the computer said so, therefore I got my probable cause for my arrest. No, that's the beginning, like Brett is saying. Another thing I want to say now in regards to the private sector applications of this, privacy issues. The first issue that I have or think about is, well, let's say this private sectors are recording your faces as you go to their businesses and all that, and they record those faces. Let's say a client becomes rowdy in a store, and they kick him out. In the future, that person comes to another store. The system flags their face and says, "Hey, you're not allowed to be here. You had issues here, and we told you not to come back," right? And you would think, well, that's not a bad thing, right? It's limiting access to undesirable people on a private business, right? You don't have to allow people to go into your business if you don't want to. I get that. But think about this. To be able to make that template is grabbing everybody's faces, right? It's just not grabbing this person's face. It grabs everybody's. And what happens with that data? Are there any guarantees that these businesses are not going to sell my face to other businesses, right? Because maybe this person is undesirable in this store, and maybe another store, they're going to maybe share like an undesirable face list, right? Or just plain share the faces. Have you seen Minority Report, Heather? It's a pretty oldish movie. Have you seen it?
I have not.
So it's a Tom Cruise movie. It's in the future. And in the future, as you go to stores, the stores kind of scan, you even, without noticing, scan your eyes and know who you are and give you ads. Like on the store, it customizes your ad. And in the movie, he has to change his eyes, like put some other person's eyes. It's a pretty good movie. You should see it. The point is, he goes, and obviously the ads are for another person because he has the other person's eyes, right? The point I'm making with that story is, do I want to get ads like when I go into a store because my face is being recognized? Are we going to commoditize our biometric likeness, right? And that's the questions are really hard questions. Right. Is there any legal framework for that, right? That what if that's hacked, right? I can change a password, like, oh yeah, I hacked this company, I'll change my passwords, and that's it. Can I change my face, right? I mean, how do we do that? And at least the law enforcement labs, for the most part, tend to be air gap, right? Because we're gonna make sure that we keep the evidence intact, right? So we have air gap networks, but I don't see private sector companies using this technology in general in any air gap manner. So I can see databases with millions of faces being hacked and being sold, right? So that's something to be considered. How are they secured? So there's a lot that this technology is going to bring. I'm looking forward for you testing it, and
me too.
Yeah, and some of the community testing it, see how different applicabilities that we have. But I think as an emerging technology, we'll see a lot of that being litigated legally in the courts and in Congress. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
So with the tool, though, from API Forensics that works with X-Ways, that tool matches against only the faces that you provided it. So I don't want to confuse it with like scanning crowds, right? So it's not doing that. It's working with only the pictures that you provide it to look through in your investigation.
Oh yeah, and folks need to understand, right? I'm providing like both sides of the argument, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I believe there is a space for this type of technology. I'm happy that companies like this one are actually taking the lead and providing that service. So I'm not against it personally, but like I said, a knife could butter, a knife could kill. So just to putting those both sides out there. So
yeah, definitely. So, Sans had a blog out recently, and it was related to the Google Chrome platform notification analysis, which has to do with level DB files. So if you haven't seen level DB files in your investigation, start looking for them because they are absolutely important to your investigation. I'm going to show a little picture here. of what you're looking for. So this is from the blog itself. I took the picture from the blog, and this is what your level DB structure, like what your structure will look like for your notifications. So, where's it going? So in Chrome, they're everywhere. They're on computers, they're in mobile devices, and the Leaps support parsing the level DBs. So does Arsenal. Arsenal's level DB tool is awesome for that. Rabbit Hole that we've talked about prior also supports parsing the level DBs, and the data that's in them can be so helpful for an investigation. So I actually have a case example that I can talk about. I had a case where a teacher was having a relationship with a student, and she had deleted all of the contact that she had had with the student from her phone. And she didn't know about the level DBs. Obviously, it's not something that the user has access to, but this is specific to the FCM level DBs, which is the Firebase Cloud Messaging. Mm-hmm. The pair were primarily contacting each other on Snapchat. And although all of the Snapchat data was gone and the application had been uninstalled, data related to their communications was still present in those level DB files. I didn't get the actual messages, but it was enough to show that they were communicating, and it was enough to result in a plea deal. So they can be really important to your investigations.
I'm telling you, it's really powerful. Like the example you give is a really powerful example, and I like that example a lot because it corroborates that the presence of the communications corroborates all the other things in the case, right? And I'll tell folks, some of these FCMs, I say FCM, but level DBs, data storage or data structures, will have messages, will have all sorts of information in them, and we're really not looking for them. Like Jessica was saying, they're there, and you don't know they're there.
Yes.
We'll cover that in the IASIS mobile forensics course. We also will cover it in more detail in the advanced course, but this is important. If you have any browser that's worth anything, we'll have tons of data in the level DBs. I did some research some years ago on Firefox privacy browser for Android, which deletes all history. Guess what? I was able to find a lot of the pages that were visited within some of the level DB stores from the privacy focused browser, right? If you look for it, you will find. So this is a great blog that folks should read in regards to that analysis. It explains, I think you mentioned it, some of the tooling that could be used. Did you mention some of the tooling that could be used? Yeah,
I did. Arsenal level DB was one I mentioned. Rabbit Hole that we've talked about on the podcast previously, and Arsenal we've talked on the podcast about previously too. And A-Leap supports it too. So I'm sure there's other tools. If you've never come across one, do a global search across your entire image for keywords that are important to your case. I guarantee in an Android device, they're going to hit in one of those level DBs, and then follow that trail. Use some of these tools that I mentioned to look through the level DBs, because you're going to be surprised what's in there. And Jessica actually mentioned too, open source. There's a CCL script from CCL Solutions.
Yeah, Alex Caithness was the one that really gravitated my attention towards level DBs. So you Google CCL Solutions Level DB and the name Alex Caithness or a combination of thereof, you will get some of those scripts and some really good detailed articles on how they work and at a detailed level, right? How they're offsets and how they're organized. So you'll be, as an examiner, you'll be well served by looking into that. That's why we're talking. I remember all sorts of other examples. One more example. We had a case. Again, in generality, it's an old case, but where the suspect had written like a manifesto, right? And it was using the Google Word thing. What's that called? The Google Cloud Word thing. They have like their own version of PowerPoint, their own version of Word, their own version of Excel, but it's the Google one, and you access it through the browser, right? If somebody in the chat knows, then let me know.
I'm looking for it.
So, those type of Google Docs. Thank you, Jessica. Yeah. So the manifesto was done in Google Docs. Well, guess what? If you're offline and you're writing, there's no save button for that. but the stuff is saved, and you'll be like, well, where is it saved, right? It's saved in a level DB, and we were able to find that manifesto in that level DB from that Google document. Okay, so thanks for Kevin also putting the name out, the Google Docs. So they are stored automatically in level DB data stores. Of course, when you get online, then that gets pushed to the cloud and all that good stuff. But the remnants or the full document that's being written is gonna be in there, right? So it's really worthwhile that we get familiar with these data structures, just as we're familiar with SQLite, or just as we are familiar with XML. And you might be like, what? You need to do that, honestly. Yes. So let's start looking into those.
All right.
Yeah, so this is the best part of the show that I always like, right? Is what grinds our gears section. Specifically what grinds Heather's gears section. Support system not meeting the needs of the customers. And I named the episode is support in live support. And the reason we're discussing this for many reasons. I'll tell you my reason. I go into the D4 Discord channel and I'm more of a lurker just to see what's going on. And I see a lot of folks saying, hey, there's somebody from company X available. Is there somebody from company Y available? And it makes me think, why are we asking for support from these companies in a community chat, right? Mm-hmm. What's happening with the support systems established by the providers that folks are not gravitating to those first? Where are they gravitating to kind of like side channels where they know there'll be folks from these companies reading or listening to be able to get some support? And that made us think that there is an issue in how examiners or tools for examiners are supported in this space, right? And we're not talking about any particular vendor. We believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Heather, we believe that this is more endemic in regards to maybe software development in general. I don't know.
Right.
But in our field, we see it a lot. And you see folks doing all those requests in all those places, right?
Yes. I would say on Discord, in the Google groups, on the IASIS listserv, there are tons of support requests. And they're actually tagging the company saying, can you help me with this? And I think, I have a personal opinion on what some of the reasons are, I guess. So when I go into support on any tool, no tools in specific, I go into the support portal, whether it be a chat or I have to open a ticket. One of the first things that I always get from support is, can you send me your data extraction? Well, the answer is no. I work for a law enforcement agency, and that is evidence. I am not sending you my data extraction, and I cannot send you my data extraction. So I think the second question I'll be asked, well, can we set up a meeting where I can remote into your machine? No, it's on a sandbox network. I can't have people remoting into our sandbox network. I work for a law enforcement agency. So it's just, we can't do that. I think another reason is that sometimes you get wrong information. So I had one of the really new people in my office reach out to a support, and they were requesting assistance on a phone, asked what their options were for this phone, and the answer was chip off. But that phone had like Android 11 on it. And if you chip that off, you're done. He luckily came to me and is like, is this right? And I'm like, oh my God, no, thank God he wasn't trained in chip off. It'd be chipping off a phone that couldn't be chipped off. But we would never let that happen.
And even if it was chipped off, you're going to get what? An encrypted blob, right?
Yes.
So you're getting nothing out of it.
Yeah. So of course I hop back in the chat and I'm like, who told my new person to chip this phone off? Please correct this mistake before somebody does it. But also, I mean, I've had at numerous different places just unanswered support tickets. Like, we can't replicate your problem. Sorry. And it's frustrating. And it's not only frustrating, but it takes up a lot of time for whoever the examiner is asking for the support help. I I know me personally, if I'm asked to do all of these things and then send screenshots and then can you try this or can you try that? I've actually been asked to uninstall the version I have and reinstall a new version that they want me to try. And no, I can't. The extractions I have open, some of them take like over 8 hours to open if it's in certain tools, or maybe I have like 10 things going on. I can't just shut my machine down at that time. And just to troubleshoot an issue. So it can end up taking up your whole day. I think that these things are what deter people from submitting support tickets. The problem with that is it leads to the company being surprised when you tell them of your issues, right? No one else is reporting this. You're the only one reporting this. And I'm not the only one reporting it, or whoever's reporting it is not the only one reporting it. It's just they don't want to go through the painful process of submitting a support ticket. What do you think?
Look, I mean, no, I agree with you, and this is so maybe folks that are in the space would say, well, you're complaining. What's the solution? And it's not easy. Like, I think the main thing is this type of support system. It was being used to support everything and anything in any company, software or non-software, right? This type of help desk method, and I get it; it's needed. But I believe, and again, you can jump in and tell me I'm wrong or not. The factors, especially with law enforcement and digital forensics, it should be a little bit different. I want my help desk to be power users, right? And the first level of solution from my perspective is, I have this problem, right? Tell me within the tool, how can I go around it as we're dealing with the underlying problem. Does that make sense, right, Heather? Like, yeah. And I think folks go to the Discord because the folks that are there for the companies tend to be examiners as them, right?
Yes, 100%. Which is some,
and then those examiners can tell you, oh, well, maybe you can try this and this and that, and but you're not gonna get that straight off from your help desk. There's kind of that knowledge gap from. I mean, I might be wrong, but that's my experience between the folks that are maybe you're interacting in the IASIS listserv versus the folks you interact within the help desk structure, right?
Right.
So I believe that needs to change a little bit, and so that's one thing. Another thing is, the whole give me your logs type of thing, right?
Yeah.
And I understand you need your logs, so I got a couple of critiques. Some of these logs, either they're in code, when they tell you, well, the error was error XX3935. As a user, doesn't serve me anything. So whatever the issue is, the ball is hitting from me, is provided to the company, and then you might sit forever and nothing happens, right? I would like for more transparency, as you can see here in my marquee for the week. That's the word of the week. More transparency in regards to what the limitation of the tool is. Look, the tool crapped out on X. I want to know that, because even if you don't have the solution, and again, that's okay, at least I can go and do something else, either manually or be able to fix what the possible issue is on the back end, as again, we're looking for the long-term solutions. So I would like to see more transparency, and it shouldn't be, from my perspective, just give me the logs, and sometimes you give them the logs and they're like, I don't see nothing in those logs, right? At least they tell you that. I don't know. I cannot confirm it. I cannot read your logs. I cannot unencrypt them. Or it's all in code. It's codes that I don't understand what they mean. The meaning of that code, it belongs to you, right? And they might tell me, well, there's some proprietary information there. Look, again, more transparency on the limitations will be helpful. And I understand no company wants to tell you, well, my tool sucks at X. They don't want to tell you that. They want to tell you we're good at everything, or at least we're good at X, Y, and Z, right? So there has to be a balance in regards to what the tool is not doing or where it's bugging out, and how can we go about it. And I believe, again, examiners for the companies are really good at interacting, but the help desk are kind of failing on that. So you have like two parallel support systems, and like Kevin is saying, and yeah, thank you for putting it up. Yeah, can you read it, Heather?
It's infuriating to be brushed off by support just so they can close the ticket. And sometimes it seems like that is like the goal. Let's just get this closed as quickly as possible, whether there's a resolution or not.
Yeah. Absolutely. You have a ticket sitting there for months, and then all of a sudden it disappears. What happened? right? So I guess the solution, at least from my perspective, is the knowledge gap between people in the help desk and the examiners that work for the company, either doing forensics or being front facing for the enterprise with the examiners. There has to be some parity there. So there could be really productive conversations. Not, I send you an email, you send me an email. I send you an email for days on days for dumb stuff. Stuff that's like, why are you telling me this? Right? Can you get somebody on the line that knows what they're doing, right? So that's the first.
This is my coworker writing in here. Your ticket has been escalated to our black hole division for additional analysis. Pretty spot on.
The black hole looks like a trash can.
Exactly.
It's the bottom of a trash can. And again, I've seen this with support tickets and in any other enterprises, but I think that's something that the companies in the space could grow from and say, look, we're gonna change that. We're gonna put some numbers in regards to issues that are accumulating, and if the company decides to have a dual track of reports, let's say the folks that talk at the listserv plus the tickets, then keep track of that in a way that the company actually, the information filters through. And we're not reinventing the wheel, because I'm pretty sure that some person says, hey, can somebody at company X send me a DM for an issue? And I bet those poor folks get that issue 10 times or 20 times from 20 different people, right? So how is that being aggregated and making part of the knowledge base so that it could either be addressed or that workaround solution be pushed out? And again, presenting it in a way, I guess, for management, so they don't feel like, oh, we're saying our tool is crap. No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying the tool will do these things, and as we work to present this in this manner, this is another solution for you. You're in the solution providing business, and the solution providing business cannot be constrained only by the interfacing with the tool, especially when your tool is either bugging out or failing at something, right? Am I off base on that, Heather?
No, you absolutely hit it. Well, one thing I will add, though, I have not all support personnel or help is bad. I've had great interactions with support as well. I just want to make that clear. I want to make that clear. And I will say that on the Discord, Google groups, and actually just people who have personally helped me from some of the companies, the help has been excellent. So I don't want to make it all sound bad. If I had to say one thing that I would suggest to people in the community, it would be you need to be reporting all of your support issues to the companies so they realize that, hey, this is actually an issue. As painful as it is sometimes to do those support tickets, if we don't do them, they're not going to know, or they're not going to know how much of a problem it is for how many people.
Oh, thank you for saying that, because you hit the nail on the head, right? At the end of the day, we got to play the game that's in front of us, all right? And if this game requires us to do tickets, do the ticket. Look, even if you find an alternate solution and you're like, well, I found a solution, who cares? No, still put the ticket in.
Yes.
Even if you don't expect an answer because you solved it in some other way, okay?
Yes.
Do it, because you're helping yourself and you're helping others down the road. So we got to play the game as it's played right now, okay? And thank you for saying that, Heather. That's totally on point.
All right. So we can move away from that. I guess it's my soapbox week. I stole it from you.
Oh, no. It's I said it was what grinds Heather's gears, and it's being finely grounded.
Well, thanks.
Well done. All right. So yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes. So we have the changing gears again. We're going to talk about something that I believe is really important. And it's surveys. I know most people don't like to do surveys, but I'm going to ask from the community, all the DFIR Forensic Now community, to do me a personal favor, okay? As a personal favor, I want you to go to this survey. We'll provide the link in a second. And it's the DFIR Forensic Practitioner Survey, all right? Or the DF Pulse 2024. This is done by Professor Mark Scanlon and the School of Computer Science from the University College of Dublin in Ireland, all right? And it's also an association with a couple of professors from the University of Lausanne in Switzerland and professors from the University of Oxford in the United Kingdom, right? As well as the University of Nottingham in the United Kingdom. So I mentioned that because this is academics, and academics from world-renowned organizations that are asking us, right, in regards to what's happening in our field. They're asking because they want to know what's the interface between academia and us as practitioners. How can academia inform us, and how do we inform them? Does that make sense, Heather?
Yes.
So, and I believe this is important. Last episode, we discussed briefly an academic article in regards to error. It's not projection, like error. I'm having a brain.
I don't know what word you're looking for.
Yeah. Well, so like errors within our analysis. What causes of errors in our analysis in our work? I guess that's the best way of saying it. And to me, it's really eye-opening. And I mentioned last episode that this academic understanding made me aware of these possible pitfalls so I can mitigate them before I get them. And seeing it in that sort of structure, an academic structure, helped me a lot, right? So it's important for us to also be informing the academics that systemize all that knowledge, and then they providing it to us. So please, pretty please, look, we don't ask you for anything. We don't ask you for money. We don't ask you for nothing in this podcast. This community doesn't ask you for anything. Only that we ask, at least this time, I'm going to ask you to go to this link. It's going to be bit.ly, like bit.ly/DFPulse, and do that survey. It's going to be around 30 minutes, a little bit longer survey. I'm going to do it tonight.
Yeah.
So because, we're going to set the example. So I'm going to do it tonight.
I'll do mine too.
Yeah. And go there and please participate in this survey from the universities. It's going to help everybody and help yourself.
So we are now to what's new with the leaps, and there's a bunch of new stuff with the leaps. So I'll let you start that off.
All right. So there's a lot of stuff happening. So we have a couple of artifacts that were added, and we changed the graphical user interface a little bit. So let's get with that. First, we have the Burner app. It's now supported in iOS, and that was done by Yango Fayola. And I think, do you have a screenshot of that?
I don't have a screenshot of that. There was just the burner icon was up. Yeah.
But we do have the link to the article. I think it's in Portuguese or it's in French. I think it's Portuguese, right? Either way, don't worry about it.
I couldn't read it. That's all I know.
Yeah, but Google Translate does a great job. So if you have Google Chrome, it immediately asks, you want to translate it to English? You say yes, and you can read it there. It's really good. So the Burner app is supported, and we have that in iLeap. For the folks that are new, that's open source tooling that community created and supported, and it will take a full file system extraction from an iOS device and get stuff parse it out for you and get you stuff that's just useful. So that's Burner. Kevin Pagano, one of the main developers for those projects with me, my right hand man, he did an artifact on keyboard usage stats, which is pretty neat. So you got there how many words were typed, how many words autocorrected, the suggestion bar, and that's important because it will tell you a lot about the user, and that goes to that pattern of life. And those are investigators know, and I'm not gonna say them here, but there are certain words that might be important for your investigation that indicate activities, behaviors, likings of the suspect that you will not find anywhere else. That they're not part of any dictionary in the planet, but if you see them as part of that usage stats, right, in regards to the words that are corrected or typed, that will give you an inkling on what that person is doing or not doing, right? What their interests are. See, you can see a little report there of the lexicon from that device. And let's look at the user stats. And there we go. That's the kind of statistic, how many were typed, how many were autocorrected, and from the suggestion bar. So this type of artifact, and there's tons of that the Leap support and your forensic tool support will let you know about information about that user that might be of importance. Another one that I'm really happy about, and was done by Evangelos Dragonas and Panos Nakoti, and they're great examiners, and they have developed, especially Evangelos has done a lot of artifacts. This one is for Chat GPT, and that's pretty neat. And I think they did it for both iOS, Android, and for RLeap. RLeap is a tool that does returns. So as you pull data from these services, you can parse it and get value out of it. And it's pretty neat. You can see the conversation that you had with ChatGPT. You can see the metadata about that conversation. If you uploaded any media, the preferences, you can see there the creation time, the modification time of that conversation, was the title. So it's pretty interesting. Lately, and I'm telling you, ChatGPT is becoming like a really well-used tool. I don't think any other tool supports ChatGPT parsing that I know of. You know any other?
I haven't seen any. I haven't seen any at all yet.
Yeah, so iLeap and ALeap from Android to iOS do support it. And if you're looking for it, you're not going to, right? And that's kind of the rule with these type of things, right? But at least this open source tooling will give you a heads up, and it's filling that gap until the big players in the space, the third-party providers, are able to catch up, right? What's the chat saying?
That may have been handy on the recent CTF, and Kevin says the same thing. That also may have been handy on the recent CTF. So,
and that's a good point they have. So when there's CTFs, capture the flag, that's the competitions where either an organization puts out an image for folks to go through it and answer questions about that image. The person that answers the most questions or answers them all wins the competition. Well, guess what? That gives you ideas of how to get to data. And if they're not supported, then you can go into tooling like this one that's open source and provide some support. So CTFs are a really good way of learning, and learning obviously new things that lead to applicable, repeatable, tooling for everybody. So that's pretty neat. And I love that Chat GPT. The big one that for me is the big one that I left for at the end is the graphical user interface change, right? And let's bring up, so this is the change. I'm going to show you a couple of pictures, literally two. The first one, we're going to show you, have that? Do you have it? I sent it to you? Yeah.
Yep.
So the first one is how the interface is going to be looking, and this is soon. We're going to merge this into the project soon. So before, you had on the left all the artifacts, and on the right a little section for the logs to go through, telling you what's the tool doing as it's parsing your data. So now you have a really big, nice screen that it will have all your artifacts for you to pick, pretty readable.
Oops. What did I just do?
Hey, look at that. we're sideways. Let me change it.
Okay.
There we go. And then what we need to do is this. Boom.
Okay, right. Perfect. Sorry about that.
No, I gotcha. So the folks that are listening, we have the screen kind of went haywire on us a little bit. But we got it fixed. All right. So now when you hit process, it's gonna then it's gonna show you only the log screen there. So let's show them that whenever you can.
Yes.
And I like that a lot. I try to live what I preach. And I was talking a second about transparency, about how tooling sometimes hide the ball from us in regards to what the limitations are, or when a problem happens, it's hitting in some log that you cannot understand or decrypt. My perception or philosophy about it is that the error should be upfront. And Johan did this change. I want to say 20 things at the same time. Let me go step by step. I'll talk about why the change, but I like it because even without me telling him, he really picked up on what the ideas behind the philosophy behind the project is. Now you can see those logs as he's going through. If something breaks or there's an issue, you're gonna have it really highlighted, really bold in your face as you're going through it. Now you might say, well, what if it passes? I didn't see it. It's okay. Those same readable logs are available in your report, so that you can go back and figure out where the tool failed or where something happened, so then you can backtrack and figure out if you're missing data. Okay, I believe strongly in that. I believe that the limitations should be put up front, and we shouldn't be ashamed of them because
right.
that's how we get things to be better. Maybe my philosophy is like that because I don't have a product to sell. Maybe, I don't know. But I would hope the industry moves in that way. Put those errors up front. Okay. Now, what I want to say. The reason we did that big change is because the libraries we were using to generate the graphical user interface, they were, freely available, and overnight they decided to charge for them. And again, I'm not criticizing that, right? Folks do some work and they decided, well, I think we want to get paid for it. That's okay. And folks that value that and have the money can do it. Now, since this is a tool that we provide freely to the whole community, I want to make sure that it's free. And I don't charge for it, and I don't believe that folks should pay for libraries, extra libraries there. So what Johan did, and again, look, I'm so grateful for the work he did. He took the graphical interface and did it natively within Python. I say natively in the sense of using libraries that come with Python, already with the interpreter, that they're free to use. They come with it. That library is the Kinter, and he did an incredible job. It's a lot of code to generate a graphical user interface the way he did it. And I'm grateful for it, and I know the community will also be grateful when they interact with it. And we have plans, and again, long-term, for more changes to the tooling. And, it really gratifies me, like when Heather said that one of her cases, some of the data that came out through the tool solved and, made somebody that was guilty plea. And, that makes me really happy. That's why we do it. We do it because it's the right thing to do. And that's our payment. And I know Johan agrees, and all the folks, all the developers behind the project, we do it because of that. If you have any good stories about using the tool, let us know. Let us know some success stories. I mean, you don't have to tell us the details of your case, because we know some of that stuff is confidential. But even if you can tell us like main plots, that really powers us and gives us energy to continue doing what we're doing. So again, thank you for Johan. Thank you for Kevin. Thank you for all the other folks that I mentioned that keep putting stuff into the project. It's a project by and for the community. So again, thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely a big week for the Leaps.
Absolutely.
So that brings us to everybody's favorite, the meme of the week.
Woohoo!
Let me share. Let's see here.
I always like the meme of the week.
So this was my pick for the week out of the memes that came up on Alexis's LinkedIn. And it reads, "Are carved items and items in the trash bin deleted files? Well, yes, but actually no." So, I mean, I love this one because I think it was Jessica in the class, and I'm not going to give away the details of your class, Jessica, but yesterday she was saying, just because a tool says something is deleted doesn't mean it was deleted. There can be numerous other reasons that it's showing as deleted in your tools, and there are. It could be in the trash bin. There's just tons of reasons it could actually be showing deleted, and this meme just hit at the perfect time for me, so I chose it.
Sorry. Yeah. This is one of my favorite memes. Yeah, and all the story that could be told about that meme, right?
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites because
I can't hear you.
You can think of different examples of the meme, how that applies. So, for example, you think about when you carve an item out of an allocated space, and when you look at stuff from the trash bin, and your prosecutor asks you, "So are those files deleted?" Well, if you use the term deleted, right? Well, the answer is yes. But that's like Brett is saying in the chat. It's an imprecise answer to an imprecise question, right? Is it deleted? Well, what do you mean by deleted? Because deleted can have different meanings, right? And I see a movement, and actually Jessica's the one that kind of put me in that direction. Don't talk about files that were deleted. Let's talk about recovered items. Mm-hmm. That's a little bit more precise. Of course, there at some context we need to use the word deleted. That means that we need to be more precise at when we use it. And I found myself telling my prosecutor, "Well, yes, it's deleted, but no, really," right? Because something in a trash bin is still allocated, right? And it has all the metadata, it has everything. It's just kind of quote unquote moved from one place to another, right? To the deletion. It's not really deleted. Now, allocated is deleted, but different, right? There's no metadata. You might have a file that's half of the file, a quarter of the file, not complete, right? It's just the header and a little bit more. So it depends, right? What was the chat saying?
So allocated, accessible, inaccessible. Oh, the joys of explaining that in court. That's Paul Lorenz.
Oh my, yeah, absolutely. What is Brett saying? What's Brett saying?
Brett says 2 separate things: deletion, intention and how, and recovery, partially, fully, none.
Yep. So even when you use the word deletion and recovery, there's also nuance within it. And what Paul and Brett are saying speaks to a concept that I was taught to be presented as a tech terms. These technological terms, right? We need to dominate them. And we have this bad habit of trying to use shorthand words to mean things. This is a scientific endeavor. There's precise words for precise things, and we need to start using them. If you're an examiner and you have trainees, you have to ding them a little bit and say, well, that's like a database, right? No, it's not a database. It's a JSON file, right? A database, you can mean different things by it. It could be relational, it could be NoSQL, it could be different things, right? Precise terms as best as we can for precise items or precise procedures. And even if you have to spend some time explaining it, I'd rather do that and take my time and explain it than have people confused. And I know my prosecutors don't like it because they want to go get over with my part fast. Yeah. But I'm like, nope, sorry. You gotta stick with me. You gotta bear with me. You're gonna thank me at the end. Okay? Yeah. So bear with me.
Jessica says deleted means something to the user. Trier of fact, we need to be careful. 100%.
Yeah, the term can be loaded, right? When you say something is deleted, intentionality could be part of that, right? The trier of fact. What she means by that is the jury, for example. The ones that decide what actually happened or not. They could think, what's deleted? The person did an overt action on purpose to, and that you gotta be careful because some things are quote unquote deleted that don't require my user interaction. There's no intentionality there to obfuscate or obstruct any justice, right? So we gotta be really, I guess a great point. We gotta be really careful on how and really precise in how we say things, because maybe what you said is not false, but the impression that it might cause on the hearer might be, and that's just as big of a problem as saying something wrongly or make a mistake or just say something that's totally off the wall, right?
Yeah. Brett says bad testimony equals bad case law, and we do not want that as a community for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And if you get back case law, eventually it's not going to bite you today. It's going to bite you and everybody else tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. And for the folks that are not familiar with this law enforcement field, that means that the consequences of you being careless could affect you and everybody else down the road. So do this for you, but also think of doing this rightly for me when it's my turn and for others.
So we've got a cough, recover folders, cough, hack, pass out comment.
oh my goodness, especially with whole the mobile and yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's a lot, and I appreciate you brought this meme as the selection, because it really talks about, then again, our fundamentals, and our fundamentals are important. How we refer to things, what are the meaning of things in the proper context, the intentionality that a word might bring or not bring. And those are things that need to be constantly reminded, especially with new technologies. When ChatGPT comes in and stuff comes with ChatGPT, what's the interplay between what I asked and what I received, right? How can we ascribe that to the person, not to the computer, or vice versa? We need to continuously make sure that we evolve those technical terms and define them properly and explain them properly. And we talked about that in a few shows back, how those soft skills as examiners are going to be important, more important, as time goes by.
Yeah. I'm going to go back and just post one comment that I missed earlier because I thought it was kind of funny. But Arsenal is demanding that Brett give the people a publication date. And I thought it was funny and I missed putting it up earlier. So Brett, if you have a publication date for the book, a solid definite date, it looks like you're being called out by Arsenal here.
Well, and Brett responds. Brett
Yep.
responds, right? What's the date?
So it's definitely the March 22nd that I mentioned that week. It'll be on sale. So
Yeah, no, let's all get it. What else is Brett saying?
half price for 1 week starting March 22nd.
All right, so everybody, you heard it here first. You know, we got that scoop. Go check it out. Half price, March 22nd. Go get it. Oh, well, first of all, Heather, thank you. It was a fun episode. I really liked it.
Thank you. Me too.
And thank you everybody in the chat and the folks that watch and listen live. I've been keeping an eye on the folks also in Instagram and the folks in LinkedIn. And if you don't see me commenting in LinkedIn because I can only have so many hands, know that we see you and we appreciate you. Send us comments, topics you would like us to speak about. You can send it to our Digital Forensics Now podcast page in LinkedIn. Just search us and you'll find us, or hit Heather, hit myself up. Send us a friend request, and we should be good. Anything else for the good of the order, Heather?
No, that's it. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. And with that, we'll see each other in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.